Hey, my friends, Morgan Fleur-de-Lis here with Traffic Champions. Today I want to talk about influencer marketing, specifically the discovery process of influencer marketing. Now, this won't be a full-blown training on any aspect of this because there's so much to it. I really would need a dedicated course created and then just drive you to that, or certainly a video that might be 1, 2, 3 hours long that gets into all of the nuance. But I want to discuss probably one of the most important parts in your journey, especially if you're just starting out. But even if you're starting out and you're having some trouble getting the traction you're looking for, the root of it might actually be in the discovery process. Now, there are a lot of different tools out there, so this is also not a training on this particular tool. This is Upfluence.co. The tool's rather expensive. It has a lot of fancy features to it, but don't let that intimidate you when there's other solutions that can get you started that are more cost effective. But as you grow, you might want to look into more advanced tools. And I'm not saying that this is the go-to tool. It's just one of the tools I work with some of our clients. So this tool here allows us to do a discovery process right within it. And so that's what I want to talk about. So I might hit on some subject matters within this, but I'm not going to, do a tutorial on this tool. I don't think it's going to be helpful for you. But when starting out with the discovery process, before you even jump on, let's say, Instagram or anywhere else and start trying to hunt down someone you think is going to be a good fit for your brand, I highly recommend, and this is the least sexy, most uninteresting part of the whole process that most people want to drag their feet on because it's not the fun part, is to take a step back and really understand, who is your ideal buyer persona or customer avatar, depending on what language you want to use in your marketing speak and jargon. Who's this avatar? And get a really good understanding of the perfect customer, the person that's going to shop with you the most frequently, maybe spend the most money with you. You can have different personas for different things. Personas where people are for very specific types of products that you sell for one product line, and then a different product line is going to have a different persona. And try to sort that out before you even decide to start doing the discovery process. Who are they? What are they about? And you can get that information by tapping into your current customer base and then sending them a survey. And then you might have to incentivize them to complete the survey with, Starbucks gift cards or Amazon gift cards or, a discount, to shop with you again, but get the information you need and get enough responses back where you're like, okay, now I understand my customers better. You can also upload your customer list to Facebook and then, look at the audience insights on that particular group of people, and you can get information that way. That's not part of this training. But there are lots of different ways in which to gather the data from your existing customers and really get a really solid understanding and create a fake, not a fake, but a imaginary name of, say, Susie Smith, and Susie Smith is this type of person, and you learn as much about her as possible. Who she is, what she does, where she goes to, who she follows, what does she do for her hobbies, what does she believe in, what are her political affiliations, the whole nine. Just dive into it and map that out, because it'll make it a lot easier for you once you start diving into the discovery tools that you might be using, whether you're manually doing it, which is problematic, or using a tool to help filter out a lot of the results, and you can get better details back. But really get an understanding of who you're trying to search for before you even start doing the searches, because you may come into some real challenges otherwise. Now, once that's done, if you've done a really good job with that avatar building process, part of what you should be able to do either from that or it happened during that avatar building process is you need to have a good understanding of probably some of the hashtags that your ideal customer would be using or clicking on. And that is tremendously helpful when you're on a platform like Instagram, which is where so many brands are going to start with their influencer discovery process. Is going, okay, what kind of hashtags are they using? And the better you get at the hashtags of either the communities that they're a part of, or the types of things they're posting about, it can really help with your discovery process. After that, you want to be able to be really clear of when you're listing out these hashtags of, is that a hashtag that not only the ideal customer that I'm looking for would be using and engaging with, is it one that the influencer themselves are using, right? There has to be that marriage, right? You may find, say, a model that's on Instagram that is attractive and would look good in the clothing that you're going to send them, or the products that you're going to send them. That was just like, hey, listen, they take great photos. They set up, a really good, photo staging area, right? The way they place it and all that stuff looks fantastic, right? But if they haven't personally cultivated the same kind of audience that you're trying to sell to, then really you found a pretty face, or someone with that's great personality, or really is, even great salesmanship, right? And or maybe they're really relatable. Like, they can have so many wonderful qualities about them, right? They posted great stuff about their family, whatever it might be. Their travel photos are fantastic, right? But if they haven't cultivated an audience that is closer to your ideal, perfect buyer personas, then you're going to get less traction out of your campaigns with them to their audience. One of the things that you're trying to do with influencer marketing, and it should be pretty straightforward and obvious, is that you're bypassing traditional paid media, right? You're paying someone else, because influencers become like the new television ad, the new radio ad, the new Facebook ad. They just become that new thing because that's where your audience is now gravitating towards as their profiles, right? So you just meet your audience where they're at. And so you need to connect with people that are cultivating a real audience around your buyer personas and discovery process. So this is really, really important. I've seen brands just go after people they think are cool, they think are attractive and would look good in their clothing, but then they fail to do the part of going, wait a second, this audience turns out is 60% male, right? Because that particular model posted one too many shots that started to attract a male audience, and you're trying to sell women's clothing, right? And meanwhile, you're selecting influencers that have 75% male followers. This is a problem, right? And so going back to that discovery process and that hashtag process can be really, really helpful. Beyond that, let's get into it. A lot of good tools you'll be able to search by keywords /hashtags, and then you can add multiple ones, but you can also, depending on the tool, you might be able to do a different weighted balance of going, hey, listen, we're going to use several keywords here, but really, let's give stronger emphasis to certain keywords over other ones. And then, pick which influencer network you want to work with first. Do you want to find Instagram influencers, TikTok influencers? Do you want to find bloggers, YouTube content creators? Where are your people at, right? What platform do you want to focus on? I'm going to recommend, especially if you're first getting started, start at one at a time, right? And an argument can be made that there's pros and cons to each one of these networks, right? The knee-jerk reaction is that everybody thinks that you should just do influencer marketing on Instagram, and that's just not true. People are getting tremendous traction on TikTok right now, but if you find that Pinterest is really great for your brand, maybe you sell all kinds of crafting and knitting and yarn and crochets materials and supplies. Maybe you found that you could get really good traction on Pinterest, so you can find influencers that are really got great boards and great pens and great followers and everything on Pinterest, and then just focus on Pinterest, right? So don't think that you have to jump on a bandwagon of it's only Instagram, right? Because there's no shortage of influencers on all these platforms, right? And if you have other requirements, like you really are restricted geographically, you really only sell in a certain country, you could find tools that will allow you to restrict, like, hey, listen, this influencer, they're really in the UK. Okay, great. That's exactly where I want to sell. Like, no. These people in Australia, oh, that's not going to work, right? So it just depends on what you're doing. If you're global, then it's not necessarily. And if language is critical to you, then you can certainly try to look for influencers that are, primarily speaking the language of choice. And depending on the tool, like a really good tool here, this one has the ability to say, hey, listen, of the audience that's following that particular influencer. Now, this won't work on every platform because they won't have the data. And this is an educated guess, right? Sometimes they're pretty good at it. Sometimes it's off. These tools, even the pricey ones, are not spot on. You will have to spot check these afterwards, right? But you can say, hey, listen, this audience, I'm selling women's clothing. Like, the people, this needs to have an audience that's at least 50% female, right? Right? And, they really have to have, certain keywords that they're following and things of that nature. So, that's really that. So, when you dial in the keywords and maybe you add multiple keywords and you weight them differently, and you can also say, hey, listen, let's make sure we avoid certain types of people. Again, it comes down to the tool. You can, in Google AdWords speak, this is called a negative keyword, right? Or in Facebook ads, you're excluding an audience. You can actually do that with certain tools for influencer marketing. But that is probably a much longer video than I wanted to make about the discovery process. But dial in who you want to speak with, get that data either from your customers, upload it to Facebook, and then look at the audience insights on it, do the surveys and get that feedback back. But try to remove subjective opinion as much as humanly possible and try to get objective data back from your audience based off of uploading it to Facebook and getting that audience insight data, or any number of tools up to including doing an actual customer survey where you're injecting the types of questions that get you tangible data that you can work with, right? And if you have cultivated an audience of people and you can get the data of your particular customers and maybe what their Instagrams look like, right? If you can get that data and you go, okay, here are my top 10% of my customers that filled out that also filled out a customer survey, and on that customer survey questions was, hey, do you have an Instagram profile? Like, what social networks are you on? What is your handle, right? And you get them to actually give you that information. You can then take a sample of that. Let's say it's 50 of them, 100 of them, right? Or maybe it's just 20, right? But then you can go look at what they're posting about and then see if you can gather any data from that, right? That could be really powerful. But once you find out what you're going to do, you can say, hey, listen, these people, but avoid this people, right? And then make sure that whoever's following them, there's a certain percentage of them are, a certain gender, if that is mission critical to what you're selling. And you'll end up getting a lot more traction out of your overall influencer marketing if you just dial in the discovery process. So that's that. That's this video for today. Thank you guys for watching. Talk soon.